When I was little, I used to think Max just didn't want to play with me. I remember sitting on the floor with my dolls, waiting for him to join me. But he never did. He just stayed in his own world, spinning the wheels on his toy car over and over again. I'd call out to him, "Max, come play with me." But he wouldn't even look up. I didn't get it back then. I didn't understand why he didn't respond, why he didn't just talk to me. There were so many times I felt like I was invisible. Like that one birthday party, my 8th birthday. All my friends were there, and I was so excited. But then the music started playing too loud, and Max started screaming. Mom rushed to calm him down. Dad turned the music off, and the whole party stopped. Everyone looked at him, and I just stood there, wishing for once it could be about me. I didn't understand why things were always so hard for him. I still remember the first time I truly realized how hard the world could be for Max. We were at Aunt Lisa's wedding, and everything was so loud. The music, the people talking. Max was fine at first, but then it got too much. He covered his ears and started crying, and people stared. I was so embarrassed. I wanted to tell him to stop, to just be quiet. I didn't understand. I thought he was ruining everything. But that night, I heard my parents talking. I was standing in the hallway, and I heard my mom say, "Max loves Emily so much. He just doesn't know how to show it." That hit me. Hard. I had never thought about it like that. That maybe he couldn't help it. That maybe it wasn't about him not wanting to connect with me. It was that he didn't know how. One day, I decided to try something different. Max was sitting on the floor, lining up his little cars, just like he always did. Normally, I'd leave him alone. But that day, I sat down next to him. I didn't say anything. I just picked up a car and started lining it up with the others. For a moment, he didn't react, but then he looked at me. He didn't smile. Not really, but his eyes softened. It was small, but it was enough. It was like, for the first time, we were doing something together, even if we didn't say a word. I started reading about autism, about why Max reacted the way he did, about how some things, like bright lights or loud noises, were overwhelming for him. It's like his brain processes everything at once, and it gets too much for him. I read about sensory overload, and suddenly, all those moments, his meltdowns, the times he'd cover his ears or hide his face, made sense. He wasn't just throwing a tantrum. He was trying to protect himself from a world that felt too loud, too bright, too fast. I began to notice little things, like how Max could memorize things without even trying. One time, we were watching a movie together, and afterward, he started reciting lines from the movie, word for word. I didn't even realize he was paying attention. And it wasn't just words. He'd remember dates, places, even what someone was wearing weeks after meeting them. It amazed me. It's like he was seeing the world in a way I never could. Then, one day, we were going to a family gathering, and I knew it would be loud. Normally, I'd worry about Max having a meltdown, but this time, I was ready. I brought noise-canceling headphones for him as soon as we walked in, and I saw him starting to fidget. I gave him the headphones. And you know what? It worked. He stayed calm. He even sat with us through dinner without getting upset. I realized then that maybe I could help make the world a little easier for him, too. I used to think Max and I lived in different worlds. But now, I understand that we just see the same world through different lenses. Like the time he drew a picture of me. It wasn't perfect, but I knew it was his way of showing he cared. He never said it, but he didn't have to. I could feel it. The more time I spend with Max, the more I realize how much he teaches me every single day. His patience, his focus, the way he appreciates the smallest details, things I used to overlook, have become the things I cherish most. There was this one time we were working on a school project together. Max was drawing, so focused and precise. He drew the most detailed picture I'd ever seen. A whole scene with things I didn't even notice. I remember watching him, and for the first time, it wasn't just me helping him. We were partners, building something together. Max has this way of finding beauty in details that most of us miss. Before, I thought I needed to teach Max how to fit into my world. But now I know that his world isn't broken, and he doesn't need fixing. If anything, it's me who needed to learn from him. I've learned that love isn't always about big gestures or words. It's about being present, understanding, and meeting someone where they are. Max might not tell me he loves me in words, but when he smiles at me after lining up his toys, or when he remembers something small that I said weeks ago, I know. I feel it. There's something about watching the world through Max's eyes that has changed me. He doesn't care about the things that most people obsess over, what people think, what's popular, what's loud and flashy. He notices the quiet moments, the things that go unnoticed. He can sit and watch the clouds for hours, or spend time just feeling the grass between his fingers. It's in those moments that I realize Max is teaching me how to slow down, how to appreciate life in a way I never thought possible. Max is different, yes, but that difference is beautiful. He's shown me how to be more patient, how to pay attention to the world in a way that I never would have on my own. It's like he's opened up this new dimension of understanding, where the things that matter aren't loud or obvious. They're the small, quiet connections we make when we really take the time to listen. If there's one thing I've learned from Max, it's that love isn't about who fits into whose world. It's about building a bridge between them. It's about learning each other's language, even when words aren't there. There are days when Max and I don't need to say anything at all, and yet we understand each other more than ever. I've learned that his world, though different from mine, is full of beauty, joy, and a kind of peace that's hard to find in the chaos of everyday life. We don't need to be the same to be connected. Max might never play like other kids, or talk like them, or do things the way the world expects, but that's okay. I've learned to love him for exactly who he is, and in that acceptance, I found a deeper kind of connection, one that isn't based on fitting in, but on truly seeing each other. I used to think Max and I would always be worlds apart, but now, I know, our worlds aren't so different after all. Maybe, if we all took a little more time to see the world the way Max does, we'd understand that there's so much more to life than we realize. It's in the details, in the small moments, in the quiet ways we show love. Max has taught me that. I don't need him to be like other brothers. I just need him to be Max. And that's more than enough. For more valuable insights and resources on autism, don't forget to subscribe to U2 Autism. We'd love to hear from you. Share your stories, ideas, and advice with us to help create a stronger, more supportive community. Together, we can make a real difference in the lives of those affected by autism.